Hello and welcome to the first fall edition of No Prize Podcast. I am the Professor Bud Young. That's Lucas. That's Johnny. And we have a lot to talk about today, so we are going to just jump right in. How are you guys doing?
Sober.
That's a refreshing change of pace, Lucas.
Sober and jet lagged.
Johnny, you look much tanner.
Well, I am very much tanner. Gracias to Mexico for treating us well for the last fortnight. However, I am feeling the old jet lag.
Now you weren't on a cruise or anything. You actually flew down there, right?
Oh yeah, flew down.
Because there was several instances this couple past weekends where people have been getting on cruises 2 months ago and getting brawls on mashups. Yeah, you didn't see that? Yeah, and there's been like video of it, like people just sitting by the pool chilling, a little too much alcohol. It's like, oh, freaking, let's break out in a fight, and then they, of course, you got to fight. You got to kick you off the ship. So they'll stop at a port, nearest port, and just drop you off, and like, hey, good luck. I know you bought your plane ticket to fly out from this other place, but good luck. And then they, just leave your ass behind. So.
No,
Yeah.
weather was great. We had one day where we absolutely chucked it down like the high heavens, and other than that, we had a little bit of spot here and there, but nothing too dramatic. All in all, good time, good weather. Food was, but other than that,
you can actually tell that I vacation in Alaska, huh?
Well.
Look like a White Walker.
Yeah. It's you're the only person that's like whiter than the snow in Alaska, aren't you?
It's like unbelievable as the Irish skin. So, all right. So we have a lot of stuff that dropped on Disney Plus over the last couple of weeks. We have 2 episodes of She-Hulk, and we have the first 3 episodes of Andor. And so what did we everybody see She-Hulk? We saw episodes 5 and 6.
Yes.
Yeah, what are we thinking about that? Because I give my idea of it. It is a lot like the Dan Slott She-Hulk series. So I'm going to give it some credit there. It's definitely not aimed at me, right? So I'm not
or me.
So I don't think it's up my alley. I do think it's kind of funny. I think Tatiana Maslany is fantastic as She-Hulk. I love her as Jennifer Walters too. I just don't know if like the brand of humor is the right tone for me, especially this latest episode 6, the wedding episode. Not really that great, but the Mr. Immortal subplot in it I thought was kind of amusing. But again, I really think it's just it's not aimed at us. And there was a little bit of a Twitter bomb dropped a couple of days ago with the text for the next episode where they were called the male fans incels. Did you guys see that?
No.
You guys didn't see it? Yeah, no.
The last episode I saw was last episode I saw was she was getting her outfit in it, and the teaser was is that episode 5?
That was episode 5. Yeah, episode 6 dropped on Thursday. Maybe you were on a plane.
I was on the plane. I have to go back and check now. God damn it! I was all getting ready to talk about the Daredevil helmet, but never mind.
Yeah. So the episode 6 was kind of like a standalone wedding episode where they totally ignored pretty much most of the plot. You did see Titania show up, and they kind of had their final showdown. But yeah, everything else they kind of built up in episode 5 kind of crapped out episode 6. They didn't refer to any of it.
So, I just to sort of like echo what you've said, I think the show's not aimed at me. I don't know what the show wants to be because the lawyer element, it screams Ally McBeal.
Yep.
Always daft cases going on. There's not a lot of superhero stuff going on.
There's zero almost.
So I don't know. The CGI is still dodgy.
Yep.
And when I say CGI is dodgy, I don't mean the actual interaction. The interaction element's all right. It's her arms. Her arms are really long for some reason.
That and her hands are too big.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like Mr. Fantastic,
Yep.
Mr. Fantastic, no, Mr. She Fantastic Hulk. There you go.
There we go.
There it is. I don't like the Jennifer Waters character. I think she's whingy, she's whiny. It just doesn't do anything for me. Did you notice in the credit that Zeb Wells is an executive supervising producer on this?
I did not notice that.
I only noticed it because Disney Plus over here. I don't know if it's just over you. So when the credits come up, it tries to shunt it to the bottom small screen,
Yeah.
and then has like the big picture of play next episode and stuff like that. Well, sometimes if it does that, you miss the trailer bit, the teaser bit at the end. So I always go back to make the big screen. And as I hit the big screen, it came up Zeb Wells. I was like, no, and I went back and checked. It is Zeb Wells. There you go.
Interesting.
So there is some current Marvel people on the show, I suppose, which explains some of the humor in there. It's what I'm watching it, but I'm kind of at the same time scratching my head as to why I'm watching it.
I think it's something different. I don't think it's something that Marvel has done. They haven't done a straight comedy, and that's what this is. And I just, I'd like to see at some point some kind of action. There was that fight between She-Hulk and Titania in the episode 6, which you didn't see, Johnny, but it wasn't really a knockdown drag out. It was kind of a fight for like a minute and a half, and then that was it.
Well, I'm obviously behind the curve because I quite enjoyed Madison with 2 N's and a Y, but not where you expect it. I thought she was canny. I liked how she called one Wongy. The only
Wongers.
issue that I had with the whole thing was the episode opened straight away with her talking to the camera, and you all know how much I hate the fifth wall thing.
Yeah.
So
This one felt really weird without her. This would have been a perfect place to bring her back and put her in there.
As like a wedding guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. She should have been drunk at the wedding. Yeah.
Exactly. She should have been part of. You should have. If you're going to do a wedding joint, you got to have the bridesmaid, or what do you call it, where the brides go out.
Oh, the bachelorette party.
Yeah, you had a bachelor. Should have, and Madison should have just either shown up somehow, and that would have made it a little bit more fun. But I don't know. That's just me. I don't know.
I agree with you on that one. Actually, that would have been an absolute perfect.
It would have been a place for her to be in.
Yeah.
I don't think that they expected her to have such a big social media blow up that she did.
Yeah.
Do you know how I feel sorry for the guy from Arrow that plays the lawyer? I can't remember his name. He's this dark skin, the dark haired guy with the beard.
Yeah.
He hangs around with Nikki a lot. I think he gets short shift. He doesn't hardly. He just rocks up, gets the butt of a joke, and poof, off he goes. But
and he wasn't even in the last couple of episodes. So
and the one where he's dancing because he knows a guy Alonzo sent me. I was like, oh man. Talks like Christian Bale, acts like something else.
Well, see, I do think that there are moments that kind of make me giggle, but it's kind of like one of those. I don't know what I want to be. Am I a superhero show, or am I a sitcom, or what is it? But there's 3 more episodes left, right? I mean, we're 2/3 of the way, and there's still a couple of things that we need to drop. We haven't even really seen much of the build-up from the first episode, where I kind of think that reveal of the Hulk taking She-Hulk's blood or something, and then having like, well, I need to destroy my blood, or else we don't want anybody else getting it. So that was obviously the foreshadowing of what's going to happen. But we haven't seen basically any of it, except for when the Wrecking Crew attacked her and tried to get her blood, right? But the needle broke or something. So,
and then one of the dates she went on was like, "Ooh, you'll be a perfect specimen."
right.
Which I thought was a throwback to that. What I was going to say, there's lots of. Where's the show based? Is the show based in LA, or is the show based in New York?
I
thought it was LA or San Francisco or something.
Yeah, something like that. So then my question is, why is Daredevil's helmet in San Francisco?
Because the best designers, I don't know.
But then
I was getting ready to say the best designers are in California, but
then,
it's New York.
In the show, it
Which is
says
weird.
if you watch it, it says, "Oh, a lack of security. This should be somewhere else. This is to pick up." And you're like, "What?" It said has pickup on the label, and you think to yourself, "So Daredevil's going to come by San Francisco and pick up a helmet?"
You know, in Daredevil's history, he did spend some time in California. So, you know, that back in the 1970s.
But
So,
hopefully in a yellow suit.
yeah, not in the yellow suit though. So, all right. So, you know, I think kind of a little bit of mixed reviews on She-Hulk, but we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of interested in seeing how they actually like move her into the MCU as a whole. I mean, if they kind of spin her off into the movies, how do they keep the whole idea of the fifth wall breaking and the sitcom-y type stuff if they're gonna throw her into like the next Avengers movie? Like,
Well,
how do they're gonna have to do something to
well,
actually make you feel like it's the same character, right?
well. The humor element's fine because you've got Guardians of the Galaxy, and you've got Thor. You know, Thor chucks it up with anybody, doesn't he? So
Yeah.
you can still get humor into a straight MCU movie. My only issue with the show is that sometimes, we talk, it's not written for me or you or
Right.
whom it's written for. I think it's written for the Twitterers and the social medias. That's who it's written for. It's there for
Mm.
clickbait and to generate people to talk about it
Yeah.
rather than any one particular subset. Like, so it's not like aimed just at females or girls or kids
Mhm.
or lads or binary, non-binary or anything like that. It's like, you know what, we want to have a show that gets a lot of comments on Twitter that drives up people name recognition, that
Yeah.
drives people to watch it. So that's why characters like Tatiana's like over the top, Madison's over the top. That's why they throw Wong in there, is to get people talking about it. So you can, ooh, Wong, that's
Yeah.
the sort of stuff. And she even alluded to that to herself in the wall break, where she turns around and says, "Oh, everybody loves it when Wong's here."
Yeah.
And there's another joke about Twitter,
Yeah.
in there. So I think that's what the show's aimed at. The show's aimed at creating social media about
Yeah.
itself.
You're spot on. Spot on. So, and that I think helps it and hurts it at the same time.
Agreed.
All right. So let's jump into Andor. I know you guys saw the first episode. I happened to watch all three, so I had nothing to do the other day. So um what are you guys' initial thoughts just on the first episode?
So I tried to watch all 3 episodes, or was it? Is it 3 or is it 4 now?
There's
Three.
there's three.
Three, right? And I was able to get through the first one, okay, but by the second one, every single doggone time, I kept falling asleep. And I
Mm,
know I'm old, but I know I'm not that doggone old where I should be just dozing off like that. Like my attention, I don't know whether I've got OCD or nothing, but Andor is not grabbing me because here's the deal. You know what a Star Wars flick is when you don't have Jedi's and lightsabers and all that? It's just Dune. Or it's just another post-apocalyptic movie, man. It's
mm.
not Star Wars. I did not feel Star Wars whatsoever. And,
No, and I
and
think that's what they were going for. But anyway, continue.
yeah. I mean, so I do like the inner workings, right, where they're showing us the minds and the everyday blue chip, or yeah, not hard getting into the grind freaking worker. I do like seeing that side.
Mm,
However, you gotta throw me a bit here, miss. Throw me somebody like, hey, this is the guy who's going to be a Jedi, or his son is going to be a Jedi, or something like that. Or hey, we got this guy who's the dad of this Jedi, or something like that. Or this is going to be a bad guy later on, or he's just something, man. They didn't throw me anything.
mm.
You just going to let me go off to sleep, Marvel. You just gonna let me slip off into that good night. So I guess I'm supposed to just throw. Anytime I want to fall asleep, I'm supposed to be just throw this on. Is that what this is? This is Marvel's making lullaby, freaking issues now. Is that what we're doing? Because that's what Andor is to me. Andor is, Wookiee for go to sleep, bye bye. What did you guys think?
Well, I'm gonna kind of echo Luke's statements. To be fair, part of it might be jet lag. You know, I watched it this morning after watching what I thought was the episodes of She-Hulk, but obviously I've missed one. And I found myself drifting off, and I didn't know if it was the show, if it was me. Halfway through the show, I was thinking, this is the type of thing they wanted Solo to be.
Yeah.
And of course, this is it's the Rogue One vibe all the way through it. Or as we call it in our house, Raguioni. I'll explain it if you ever want me to, but you know. The lack of Jedis. I like the fact that not everything revolves around the Jedi. I like that. I thought Rogue One is probably one of the best, if not the best, of the new swathe of Star Wars movies out there. Although again, it proves just how much of a badass and a failure Darth Vader is every time. But this show, I don't know. I found it hard sometimes to understand what he was saying. I had like the volume was on the TV was turned up way high. I'm like, I still can't get it. I'm intrigued. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to stick with it. I want something to happen soon. And why has every new Star Wars thing got kids in it? Why do we have to have kids in every bloody Star Wars thing? I don't particularly care how he was when he was a kid. I've already watched the Predator movie. I don't need to see any more savage kids running around the jungle. Oh, can you get a shake?
Well, I don't know if if those are the only couple of episodes that the kids are going to be in, because it is a flash. Those were flashbacks from Cassian Andor's youth, and by the end of the third episode, you see where he ends up or how he ends up with the characters he ends up with.
Brilliant. No more kids after that.
Maybe I'm not sure. But,
I'm going to hold you to that. If there is, I'm going to come over there. I'm going to beat you like the Dolphins beat the Patriots.
I'm gonna. It's gonna be a long season. So I think the word that I thought when I finished the third episode was ambitious. I think what they're going for, and so just to give you a little background, Tony Gilroy, who created Andor, was also the guy that was brought in to tinker with Rogue One before it got released. If you remember, they weren't happy with Rogue One when it was initially filmed, and they brought in Tony Gilroy, and he tinkered with it. And one of his big things was killing everybody off at the end, which I think was like the thing that really made that movie stand alone and make it feel almost like one of the best. Actually, I think Rogue One is the best Disney Star Wars movie that has come out since they took over, and I think this show is going to show us why we think that way. And maybe the first 3 episodes, I agree with you, really slow, really kind of a slow burn. And that's what I called it. My son wanted to know how it was. I was like, it's kind of a slow burn. And this is a 12 episode marathon, right? This is the most episodes that we've gotten from a Disney show since it's Disney Plus started. They haven't even introduced many of the major characters you even see on the poster here. Mon Mothma hasn't even been in it in the first 3 episodes. It's just been Cassian. They did introduce Stellan Skarsgård's character, which I think is going to be fantastic. He's kind of like, there was a bit of an action scene in the 3rd episode, which I thought was pretty cool, with speeder engines just dropping off into a garage, and they were trying to dodge them, and like they were trying to take out the Imperials, or not. They weren't even Imperials. They were some Imperial company, like almost like a Roxxon Oil, if you think of them, So it was kind of like a corporation that they were trying to find. If you remember you guys saw the first episode, so Cassian killed those 2 guards. So now it's that company that's after him, and they're affiliated with the Empire. And what I think that this is actually trying to show us is what drives someone like a Cassian Andor to become a rebel and fight against the the society, right, to fight back. And I think it's a more grim, a more gritty type portrayal where in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker looks up to the Rebel Alliance as something that's good and something that that they aspire to want to fight back, but they don't really ever portray the dirtiness of it and how maybe you really kind of portray the rebellion as terrorists if you look at it that way. And that's really kind of what they're looking at, I think, and that's what we might see. I did feel in Rogue One that the rebels were more terrorists than anything else, and I think that was what they were going for. And I think here it's even a more extreme, you know, kind of like like almost the an IRA type thing, you know, where
it's funny you absolutely bring that up.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good chat. I remember doing. Sorry to interrupt. I remember doing a crossword puzzle as a kid in a Star Wars comic that had. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get the clue. The clue was Han and Luke are these 2 words 4-4, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't work it out. I could not get it. I asked my granddad, who knew nothing about Star Wars, and we absolutely could not get it. A week later, got the answers, and it was good guys. I'm like, they're not the good guys. They're the bad guys. They're a rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah. The Empire is supposed to be the legitimate government of the place. Obviously, I must have been about 10, 11 when I'm thinking to myself, how is this possible? They're not good guys. So which is a point. Maybe Cassian has to join the rebels for protection, for his own protection, rather than some idealistic desire.
That would make sense.
And that's a good shout that you said about them not being good guys, because I never once thought Cassian Andor was the good guy. In fact, in the very first episode, they show him murder the guard in cold blood. After accidentally killing the first one, he murders the second one, and I was like, okay, that's
And still Greedo shoots first, really?
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh, he shot first on that one. That's so that's where I kind of feel like it's kind of tough to back him as the hero, but we're conditioned to think that the Empire, they're the bad guys, right? But maybe having them portrayed as this is the legitimate government, and then they're fighting back, or they're fighting for something here, but they're just as dirty and just as they fight just as hard, so that's what I kind of think. If this is going to make me think different about Star Wars and make me actually think that there are other stories that can be told, that's what I want from this show. And that's kind of like in the first 3 episodes, even though it's a little slow, the characters are starting to kind of build up. You're getting to know them a little bit more. And I think by the end of this might actually rival some of the best stuff Star Wars puts out. So I have high hopes. So
there you go.
All right. Let's jump into an ad real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll talk comics. All right. Make sure you check out our sister show, The Definitive Crusade, on alternate weeks from No Prize Podcast. Starring Johnny the Machine Hughes. He's on everything.
Yes, I am. I'm not really.
All right. So let's jump into our one of the comic book reviews that we're doing here today. Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Avengers number 60 is a crossover issue, if you want to call it that, for the Judgment Day event that's going on between Avengers, X-Men, and the Eternals. I'm of two minds on this book, so I will explain. I will explain myself. This is a Hawkeye standalone story. I see Black Widow on the cover there, but that's not really Black Widow. That's really the Celestial. And also Luke Cage appears in this book, but it's not really Luke Cage. It's the Celestial. So, yeah. So this book, as a crossover for Judgment Day, is really kind of a left turn, because it's not really tied into anything that's actually going on in Judgment Day right now. The big thing that's going on is the Celestial is judging everybody to decide whether or not the human race can continue to thrive on the planet and evolve, or does the Celestial thumbs down and wipe out the planet? We already know from reading Judgment Day, if you are, that by episode 5 here, the Celestial has thumbs down to everybody. And now we have this crossover issue that I think might be a week or two late, because they're still judging. And I'll get into that in a minute, but let's talk about the issue where Hawkeye is basically, it's basically a story in a restaurant. He's in a diner. He's eating a cheeseburger. Black Widow comes in. He realizes it's not Black Widow. It's the Celestial, and that he's going to be judged based on how he has changed as a person, where he starts, where he's going, and is his journey as a person, is it worth continuing? And and I'll give the credits here. Mark Russell wrote this. Greg Land and Jay Leaston drew it. With colors by David Curiel, letters by VC's Corey Pettit, and editing Martin Biro, and Lisa Tom Brevoort. This story is a good standalone story. If you're a Hawkeye fan, it's a good story as far as trying to weave this. What is Hawkeye doing that's making his journey worthwhile? And they, you realize, is all this stuff that I'm trying to do help people and make the world better? Am I actually doing that? And they actually compare him to a mailbox in this issue, which I actually think was kind of funny, because they do a page of people dropping stuff off at the mailbox and having it say, this is as transformative of people. This mailbox is helping people get the mail to their relatives, and it's doing exactly what Hawkeye's doing. And I thought that was kind of funny, and a good kind of analogy. But then, of course, later on they have Hawkeye fight Crossfire, which is, I would say, that's Hawkeye's main villain. But that's because I've been a Hawkeye fan for 40 years. Yeah. And then we realize at the end of the issue that the Celestial has judged Hawkeye and says, hey, you pass, and it's a weird thing that the Celestial actually writes him a letter and puts it in the mailbox, and he gets it in the mail, as opposed to the Celestial being just showing up. It was kind of weird on that end. I mean, I get the whole drama of the thing, but to me it was a little weird. So my overall thoughts on the issue, I thought it was pretty well put together. The art was good. It's when you're writing a story that's pretty much been dictated, the parameters that you need to exist in, and you're kind of stuck in a rut, right? So you're kind of stuck with what you're supposed to be, the boundaries you're supposed to be staying in. The bad things on this issue were many. All right. First of all, I think that it's an Avengers book with, again, no Avengers in it. And this is the thing that drives me wild, especially in this Judgment Day crossover. You have Avengers; they're first on the trade dress there. Avengers, X-Men, Eternals. No Avengers hardly even in the crossover book. But even in this book, if you've read the X-Men crossover books, they're heavily involved in the story of of trying to stop the Celestial or trying to be worthy of continued existence. The Eternals are actually trying to wipe out the X-Men because they look at the X-Men as being deviants. The Avengers are just there and they're not doing anything. And this book shows that there's nothing going on in this event that warranted us finding out more about the story and an actual or the only actual Avengers crossover through this whole event book. And if you look at the very last page of this book that shows you the checklist, this is the only Avengers book on there, which drives me absolutely nuts. And so anyway, the only good thing I can say is Jason Aaron didn't write this issue. It's a fill-in. But the thing, like, to be able to put the Avengers front and foremost, they're more deserving of being main characters in someone else's book, like Captain Marvel or something like that, where they actually have a chance to shine. But they're not even in this book, not even one panel. Hawkeye has not been a member of this Avengers book since issue 1. He's not, unless they're planning on putting him on the team, which I don't think they're doing. Because the other thing is, a couple of years ago, Matthew Rosenberg had a great Hawkeye Freefall series where they kind of changed his status, really, where Hawkeye's kind of like on the outs with the heroes now. And he's not what didn't act very heroic in Freefall or misunderstood, but he's on the outs with the Avengers. So having him here, I was expecting them to at least allude to the fact that, hey, I'm not an Avenger because of this, but they didn't. So it was just a weird overall kind of issue. I love the fact that Hawkeye got a solo story, but that's because I'm a Hawkeye fan. I think a regular reader of this book will probably be like, well, what's the use of this book? Why? We don't care if Hawkeye got judged, But anyway, I know you guys probably read this. Johnny, what did you think?
So I read this book, and I want to shout out the letterer for doing a great job. Who did you say the letter was?
VC's Corey Pettit.
Yes, because every time I read the word Clint,
I know where you're going.
if it's lettered incorrectly, that's a bad word. So thank you for lettering Clint correctly. That's all I'm saying on that.
A little extra space between the L and the I.
Well, thank you for that. Not saying that. Not that I'm saying that Hawkeye's a bit of a Clint anyway, but never mind. So, I love the cover. The cover's great. Great cover. I love that. Where's my note? Because I did write the cover artist down. It's Javier Garon and David Curiel. Obviously, I've said that wrong because it's me. Right. So this I'll read direct from my notes. All right. Despite the feeling that this book was a worthless waste of time because Clint was always going to pass, the monologue was fun, making the book enjoyable. There you go. That's pretty much where it is. The art worked. I think you've nailed all the points. For me, I would have preferred this as a Thunderbolt crossover rather than Avengers. Yes. That way, if it was a Thunderbolt crossover, it would have given more weight and driven more people to pick up the Thunderbolt miniseries, which is kicking around now. For me,
Hawkeye's actually on that team.
Yeah, so this is a missed opportunity for Marvel to like push some people to Thunderbolts rather than just boom, So you could have done this as a one shot and then a proper Avengers crossover. So that's kind of that's where my logic was on this one. But yeah, I love the page with the mailbox and the Aunt May type person sending off the biscuits and the cookies. Sorry, I speak American. And all the different people, and it was fun. Yeah, I liked him giving the second cheeseburger to the dog. Stuff like that.
It was a good kind of book for like the visuals. I like the artwork worked, and They were
So
a bit.
other than that, it was like it's a bit of a throwaway book, and I think if you bought this hoping for some massive insight into the whole ongoing Judgment Day process, you'd be sorely disappointed.
Did you think? And of course, I'm dating myself here. The Celestial with the whole thing in the restaurant really smacked Beyonder from Secret Wars 2 to me, like trying to understand humanity. And I'm just like, why are we doing this story? I mean, again, after 40 years, but the thing was that if the Celestial is just so that much higher on the evolutionary plane than us mere humans, is he wasting the time?
Uh, I don't know. Lucas, you want to fill that one?
Yeah, so there's this other storyline that's out there. I think it came out within the last maybe 10 years or so, where they've explained that it's not just every superhero has their story, right? And how they got their powers. But there's this other story about this being or these couple of beings out there that have that are responsible for how everybody got their superpowers, and they're bringing that back, that individual back. Um, the thing is, in order to do that, that being has to have a corporeal form in order to do that. And that being also has an anti being who, while that guy is trying to give everybody powers, the other guy is freaking trying to stop him and all that other stuff. I forget the name of that being and that anti being, but that's what they're trying to bring back. And I think it's that came back within one of the other 20 Acts books that came out with the last couple of weeks. So that's where they're going with it. I don't know whether that's going to be a big thing going forward, or is it if it's just for this Axe thing. And they're testing to see how it works out with audiences. But it's definitely a thing.
Don't you wish that the Celestial actually said, like, man, these Avengers, I'm so mad at you because you've been living in me for the last 50 issues. No, they don't even mention that.
Well, the whole I read what did I read? I read one of the Judgment Day books. When there was when Jean Grey realized what was going on, and I was like, right, so it's a fake world. Everything we just read is just all fake, and that was it. And I put the book down. I put the book down. And I was like,
that's all I need to know.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. You build up this great big idea of this whole massive story, and then you put the characters through a whole load of crap, and then it's not even a real thing. It's like you woke up in the shower. It's like, come on, Dallas fans. Can we stop writing comic books, please?
I remember thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I checked out at that point. I was like, right, I'm done. If a book comes up on the show and I have to read it, I'll read it. But I am not putting myself through this. If it crosses over in the books that I'm reading, fair enough. I'll have to read it because I'm buying the books. Like the Amazing Spider-Man crossover recently. And but other than that, it's like, no. If you can't give me like a decent story that has any ramifications, then you know what? No, I'm not interested.
I just think that for the Celestials, who ever since Jack Kirby brought them in, have been like these enigmatic. They don't talk. They do the thumbs up, thumbs down, and that's it. They've always been like that. The highest point of evolution. But to have this one Celestial that's actually in the little heads of the ants that can you imagine? Like that's what I was like. Why would you even bother? Do you think that if he just take a look at, he would just stomp them out, not even thinking? But instead, he's playing mind games with basically everyone, and that to me is why it's not working. I think the subplot of the Eternals trying to wipe out the X-Men, that's kind of a better storyline, but and they just have to find a way to work the Avengers into it, which they haven't. They've done a very poor job of it. So, all right. Well, anyway, Avengers number 60. Go get it for the artwork and the story, but don't look further into it than the tie-in stuff. Tie-in stuff's crap. All right. What's next? What are we looking at?
Iron Cat, is it not? Yes.
Iron Cat. There we go. Number 4. Take it away, Johnny.
So Iron Cat number 4 So this book is written by Jed McKay, one of my favorite Marvel writers. Art from the previous Spider-Woman artist, Pierre Perez. Colors by Frank D'Amata. And letters by VC's Ariana Meyer. I picked this book purely because I was on
You
a
like cats.
well, yeah, I do like cats. I was on a tequila high in Mexico, and when the call came in to pick some books, so I was like,
That's your
I ain't got-
excuse. You were
yeah,
drunk.
yeah, I was like tequila, yeah. Reading it, man, I wish I hadn't. Not a lot happens in this issue. To be fair, this is kind of this issue, fourth issue. It's the turnaround issue, basically. You've had you've had the fall of the first arc, which was the release of the AI into the Stark mainframe. That's the main thrust of this. The whole Felicia and a girlfriend is kind of smoke and mirrors to that for a large part of that. From there on in, this is just, it reminds me so much of the Avengers movie, the first one. Because in that first one, Tony Stark hardly does anything other than fly around in his Iron Man suit. And that's this issue all the way through. The three of them fly around, they come up with a plan. Of course, the bad guy can hear them, so we all know it's a bit of a bluff shuffle thing going on, hiding in plain sight and stuff like that. Art wise, it's kinetic. There's a lot of motion going on. Story wise, it's that issue that you have to have. It's a fulcrum issue as you move from the first arc to the conclusion.
Yeah.
So it is necessary. It's done well enough, I suppose. But what I liked about the whole Black Cat run was the Felicia's character, how fun, how banter she was. There's not a lot of Felicia in this book. It has to be said.
True.
This is an Iron Man book more than anything else, and I'm not quite sure that the balance is right. We might see if that changes down the line. And you could argue that the first issue was all Black Cat anyway, because it was the setup of her who's hunting her down and stuff. But I'll stick with it, see how it goes. I will say that Perez is better on this than he was on Spider-Woman. At least, no, not better. I see he's more consistent on this than he was on Spider-Woman, because his Spider-Woman art could sometimes take a bit of a odd shape and body angles when she tried climbing and stuff. But there you go. So that's me on this one, I'm afraid. Man, I
Lucas.
shouldn't have been drinking tequila.
So here's my issue with it. You've got two of the most scandalous type of creatures in this book, which should be working out. Like you got Tony Stark, who is a scandalous creature to himself, and you got Felicia Hardy, who is a scandalous kitty cat type character herself. And what do you come up with? A bunch of just AI robots just swoosing around and on and on and on. Like,
Good.
come on, man. Like, look, I want more for my $3.99 on this one, and they could have done a really better job on this one. Like, okay, look, look. At certain points, the art is absolutely bang fantastic. It's good, but that's not what I bought this book for. I the people who bought this book are like, oh man, Felicia Hardy. Oh man, I'm gonna get ready to see some sexy cat. Oh, Tony Stark. Oh, I'm about to see the Joker drunk alcoholic side of this will come out. I'm gonna see that personality come in. It's gonna be an awesome book. But we didn't get that. We got a bunch of robots flying around. We got those 30, 50-second clips with the GoBots and Transformers and what's the other Voltron? Where the Transformer and then you just see them, their faces and everything. That's what we got for 28 pages. That's what we got. We got that trash.
We got Power Rangers.
Yeah, we got Power Rangers for 28. That's basically we got that. We got that for 28 freaking pages. We didn't get the personalities that we came to see. Um, that whole relationship with Tony and old girl. What was her name?
Sunset, is it not?
No, the one that he wants to get engaged to. The when he wanted to marry. Yellow suit.
Hellcat.
Hell yeah,
Hellcat.
Hellcat. Yeah, exactly. We don't forgot about that, man. Freaking, like, look, I know my wife, right, and I know doggone well when we were dating, she wouldn't be just let me sauntering about with some sexy ass cat like Felicia. All right, that wasn't going to happen. So you can get that out. I can get. Oh man, I'm gonna go save the world. Like, so wait. First of all, why were you going to let all your armor just lying about in the first place? It seems like a weird excuse to me. Just to go hanging out with freaking easy women. Like, hey, baby, but no, I gotta do this and everything. Like, oh, okay, no, she wouldn't do that. She would be, oh, I'm coming too. Okay, you need to figure out something. But I, I think it was just a wasted opportunity inside this book. Even though I do like the I guess you can call it a twist that they're trying to freaking put out, but that's not what people are coming for, right?
No.
They're coming for to see, hey, what's going on with Felicia and a good, which should have been an amazing time with Tony, and we just didn't get that one here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I think that there's a lot of things working against this book. Is the fact that you have the relationship between Tony and Patsy over in his book, and she's Hellcat. So when the first issue of this was solicited, I thought it was going to be an Iron Man Hellcat book, but it's not. It was an Iron Man Black Cat book, which is fine. But I think it was a little bit of confusion in advertising when I was looking at it just on the face of it, and when not seeing any artwork. When I saw Iron Cat, I was like, oh, it's Iron Man and Hellcat. And you're right, Patsy's nowhere to be found in this book at all. And I kind of thought it would have been a little bit of a fun play to have Hellcat and Black Cat in the same book, where playing off of each other, where they could be like, oh, Tony, after any cat he can get his hands on, And I thought that would have been a nice play. But I mean, we're in a more politically correct world than we have been. But the other thing that I don't like about this book is the fact that why does every single character in Marvel have to have an Iron Man suit?
I've said this before.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, but the same color scheme, right? Shouldn't Black Cat really kind of have a Black Cat type Iron Man armor instead of the red and gold? And then of course the third person, the actual Iron Cat, is a totally separate character. So I just don't get it. It's confusing. Nobody is going to know who Sunset Bane is. She's kind of like a random bad guy over from the Iron Man book. So it's not really anything that's drawing people Tony Stark. So, it's forgettable. This whole series has been kind of forgettable for me. Even though the artwork is pretty good, the story is just I'm not invested in it at all. But I'm not getting enough Black Cat for my money. That's for sure, Johnny. I'm sure you feel.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely, that is a valid point. I got just bring the book back. Just bring the book back and be done.
Yeah.
And we only got what 2 panels of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I tell you what. Why don't you have the Black Cat and Spider Woman team up? There you go. Let's have that book. Yeah. There's 2 characters that have a huge fan base. The books both got cancelled. Black Cat had two runs at it.
I think, Johnny, you should be a mastermind for a book that has like Black Cat, Spider Woman, Mockingbird. A couple of maybe Captain Marvel captains the team and have Kelly DeConnick write it.
You could even have. Are you ready? Jessica Jones and Spider Woman in a book together, and it'd be called Jonesing with the Jessicas. There you go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There we go.
But no one listens to me, so
So
that's why I do podcasts.
well, if you guys are done with Iron Cut, I do have a question going back to the Axe stuff. Did you guys get to read this one?
I read it.
Right, Axe Judgment Day #5. What did you guys think about the ending? What are the repercussions for this one?
Give me a second to look at the ending because I don't. It's forgettable for me. So, but I think
Yeah, don't if you guys are reading this, anybody that's reading out there, don't bother with the first
oh
31 pages.
okay
You don't
okay
even need you don't even need the first 31 freaking pages. You just go to the last one. All right,
yeah.
you're good.
So that kind of flies in the face of everything that the whole Hickman X universe has been built up, right? Because now they're recreating, or is this are we calling this cloning or rebirthing or what? I don't know, but I mean, basically, it's supposed to be only used for mutants, and at the
Right,
end of this issue, they use it for Captain America, right?
right.
So we see Captain America coming through the egg with the shield. By the way, nice visual.
Yes, right. So yeah, so yeah, that's once again, so Wolverine comes out of the egg with metal claws,
which we've said
adamantium
before.
claws, right?
Yeah.
Um, Cerebro, right, was supposed to only be
They
grabbing
only
the
have
brain.
backup brain patterns for the mutants that were in existence.
So
Professor
how
X
that?
was not backing up people. So
So how can they bring back Steve Rogers?
right, that's a good question. So
And does that
uh,
mean Steve Rogers now becomes a mutant?
because storyline,
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So just like I like remember.
Live on this podcast, Johnny sees that for the first time.
live on this podcast, Johnny almost throws a bottle of water at the screen. Remembers that his iMac was really expensive and he's not going to do that. Oh my god.
So look, just like I was describing, that the character's name is Origin, and he's the one responsible for putting people in place and characters in order to get their superheroes. And then also this year they broke out that X-Men are actually a deviant form of Eternals, I guess that's what you would call them, right? So they're Eternals, but they're a deviant form, so they're deviants. So that's why we got this whole war going on. So they're trying to put everybody under the same umbrella, just explain where those different branches are coming from. But and that makes sense to me. I got you, understand. But for people to be coming out of these eggs and everything with powers and stuff not being explained, like okay, you got me with the brain stuff, but now Steve Rogers was Xavier always scanning Steve Rogers as well, or was he just doing like all superheroes? They need to explain that one. So.
Yeah, I was always under the impression that it would only work on mutants and that it wouldn't work on anybody else. And of course, what you said was Professor X was only keeping uh, sequences on or backups on the mutants. So I don't know. It's to me, it was just like, what the heck just happened? And like I said, great visual having the Captain America shield come out through the egg, but it makes zero sense. Because why would the shield be in there with him?
I don't know. Don't know.
Johnny, I could see a review coming. Are you writing a review in your head right now?
No, there are not enough words in the world.
Uh, all right. So let's. That just took a total left turn. All right. So as much as I wasn't a big fan of Judgment Day already, that we just cemented that. All right. Let's do what's coming up with our 2-minute warning. What's coming up
All right.
this week?
So big news this week. Dark Horse has decided that are going to now use Penguin Random House for their distributor. That's big news because Penguin Random House all already has Marvel and then it had IDW. So effectively putting Dark Horse under that umbrella now makes Penguin Random House the major distributor for all freaking comics. People are saying this absolutely signals the demise of Diamond at some point. Um, I at this point I gotta agree with him unless Diamond pulls something else out. Now talk about hurt feelings. Steve Jeppy, who is the CEO, said, "Well, Dark Horse is only 1% of the thing." But I would say, as a retailer, I know that the only reason why they represented 1% is because retailers were not willing to buy all the Dark Horse stuff because their fees to buy that stuff from Diamond was too high, right? in order to qualify to get your 50% off or whatever, you had to buy a crazy amount of stuff, of Dark Horse stuff. Not talking about all around, just Dark Horse stuff in order to qualify for that discount. So it's going to be interesting to see the fees that are coming from Penguin Random House, because they mostly want all their stuff to be 50% off plus free shipping.
Hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out and how this shakes out onto the Marvel side as well.
Interesting.
But yeah, so Baltimore Con is going to be next month at the end of next month, so I'll get to ask them all those questions at the retailer summit there. Uh, Comic book robberies has freaking risen up a lot. Two within 1 week. These jackasses, I would say, um, robbed two stores. One was in Pennsylvania where they tied up the store owner and then took his Pokemon cards, comics, and then the other one was in Falls Church, Virginia, where they just broke in, bust open the door, broke in, took a whole bunch of number one keys. Now, here's why these guys are freaking stupid, right? You are breaking into a store in Virginia. You don't realize where you're at. There's a reason why they call it the DMV, which stands for the um, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Because look, I, we look, if you live in any of those areas, you're just going to jump over either line because it's so close for everything, and you just know all the stores. All the store owners know each other, right? So as soon as the store owner figures out what he lost, he immediately sends that to an email to the rest of the store owners and everything. The very next day, you know what these jackasses did? They just decided to try and move the stuff, but they didn't go like 2 states over. One of them just went to the town over and Manassas and try to sell the stuff. And the guy was like, "Oh, how much you want for it?" Yeah, I want $1,200. Once again, this is $10,000 worth of stuff. Oh, $1,200. Okay, hold on. Let me go get you some money. He comes back with his strap, right, and holds him down until the cops get there, right. And that was only like half of the books. Those were the raw books. The slabs, however, the jackass tried to sell it in one state over, just over the border in Maryland, and he got caught there as well. So kudos to the police department. Kudos, and hopefully those guys were able to get all of their stuff back. But man, this is stupid. Why are y'all freaking? This is people's livelihood. I don't understand why people are trying to rob people of that stuff.
It's interesting because it seemed like they kind of knew they knew what enough to take the CGC stuff.
Yeah,
You know that's stupid people.
yeah,
And all those things had serial numbers on them anyway, right? So if they tried to
exactly.
sell the slad books, they would have been traceable.
Yeah, so they knew enough to what to grab, but they didn't know enough that you can't just sell that stuff outright. Um, and I don't know. People, what I've learned about criminals, stupid criminals, is that they think that everybody is just as stupid as they are. So, post sales D+7. This is stuff to keep an eye on. This is the stuff that has been really hot selling within the last 7 days. Judgment Day, Avengers, X-Men Eternals, that free comic book day that came out in 2022. That was that first appearance of Blade's daughter. So that was hot. 242 units have sold within the last 7 days. Edge of Spider Verse #4. That was the first appearance of that handicapped Spider Man. Marvel Fortnite Zero War #3. That's still hot. People have been winning those codes because once they collect all of those codes, there's supposed to be that Hulkbuster skin that comes at the end of it. And shout out to is it Dave Cheeto, Mark Cheeto? Who's the guy that plays in War Machine? What's his name? Dan
Don
Cheeto, Dave.
Cheadle.
Don Cheeto, yeah.
Don
He
Cheadle.
actually, yeah, he actually bought an indie rights to an indie called Rose Gallery, um, which is a story about an actress, a failing actress. She decides to get out of the game. She comes home, and these guys break into her house to try and make her shoot a movie. So shout out to him.
Hmm.
Stuff that's not even out yet that is something to keep an eye out for. Crypt of Shadows #1. That's that new series with Man Thing, Werewolf, Elsa Bloodstone, and Moon Knight. Um,
Ugh.
and
To
it's
the demand of
sold
no one.
right. So I know I got 53, but actually within the last 7 days, it actually pre-sold, moved 150 units through eBay, which is pretty amazing. I haven't heard about any first appearances on this one, but still doing some good stuff.
But this is
Spider-Man
coming out. This is coming out for
this
the
week.
Werewolf by Night
Oh, yeah, and
show.
yes, yeah. It's supposed to come out October 19th.
Yeah.
October 5th, Spider-Man #1 is doing okay, and then Hulk #9, which is supposed to be the first appearance of Monolith, and as well as Thor #27, which actually is supposed to come out this week.
Hmm.
So something to keep an eye out for is at D23, they actually passed out some trading cards, these Lorcana game trading cards. Those sales have now hit 15,000 or 1,500 to 2,000 for the whole set.
Wow.
Uh, we keep talking about when is Mephisto coming, when is Mephisto coming. Well, HasLab, which is the experimental joint for Hasbro, is going to put out a Mephisto toy that's out there. Campaign for it is supposed to end October 31st. So if you want this one, go ahead and grab it. The only price thing is I don't like the price. Price is at like $350. It's like, I
For
don't know.
Mephisto,
Yeah. Like,
not worth it.
So apparently a leak of the Wakanda Forever for the Riri Williams, the Ironheart toy has sought out. I like it, but some people don't like it because it looks like too much like some of the
Looks like
manga robot
Robotech.
toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what some people were telling me last night. Like, man, it looks too close to it. So, look, I've been telling people, look, if you don't like it, great, that's on you. But if you're over 25, guess what? It's not for you. It's for the younger generation who are into this manga stuff. They're into the manga vibe. They're into the manga,
Yeah.
feel and look of stuff, right? So it's not for you. Riri Williams, she's supposed to be what, 17, 18 right
Hmm.
now. So that's for that younger generation. Get over it. All right. You gotta leave something for the next generation. Here is some of the stuff that is on FOC this week. Amazing Spider-Man #12. Orange Goblin first appearance, apparently.
Orange Goblin. Are you serious?
Oh my God! Get over it, for Christ's sakes!
We just had the
Jesus.
red. We just had the Red Goblin and the Red Goblin Queen. Now we got the Orange Goblin.
We have Rainbow pretty soon.
It's gonna be like the Green Lantern core, right? Where we had a Green Lantern, Yellow Lantern, and all this other stuff. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, but at least that makes sense. There's a reason why the different colours are used on there. This is
Yeah.
just let's just use the Green Goblin or the Hobgoblin and just paint them a different colour. It's absolutely dick. All right.
Avengers Forever #10. People love that one on the left, that Simone Bianchi. Then there's that NetEase one, but I happen to like the one to the right by Aaron Cooter, which is a homage to the Demon in a Bottle.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch one for me.
I do like the Scarlet Witch one.
Avengers X-Men Eternals Judgment Day.
Is that Dazzler?
Yes, that
It
is.
is the Dazzler cover.
Oh,
Yeah, that one is done by Art Germ, and it's an open order. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 different covers. The one that was to the middle there, that one with Wolverine on there, that's a 1/50, and the one to the far right, that one is by Mark Brooks, and that one is a 1/100.
I
See,
like that.
I like Mark Brooks. I thought some of his covers on the last Avenger storyline for Captain Marvel were pretty damn good. I don't think he's worth 1 in 100 though.
Yeah, but it's what is interesting is that those Mark Brook books and those hidden gem books, they usually turn out cheaper, because they come out, people are like, and then those prices eventually drop. So, Damage Control has got a book. Friend of Comic Crusaders, Tony Fleeks does the one on the left hand side, the one with all the octopuses.
Octopi.
Octopi, yeah.
Sorry.
So I know he listens to this pod and the Drunken Chat pod, so he had to throw in some tentacle stuff just to mess with me. So good on you, Tony. Iron Cat #5. There's that Hulkbuster cover.
Neither of those look fantastic.
No.
To be said.
Yeah.
No.
Moon Knight Annual, number 1. The one to the far right, that's a 1 in 25 by Sienkiewicz. They all look
I was
pretty
going to
good.
say,
Hey,
I was
we
like,
ne-
that's a Bill Sienkiewicz.
we
Yeah.
never talk about Moon Knight. We see him every time on the 2-minute warning, and the covers look great, but we never talk about Moon Knight.
Maybe we'll have to correct that next week.
I'm on holiday again. I'm not. I'm joking.
Strange number 7.
See,
I like all these Miracle Man covers that are popping up. And I know that Neil Gaiman's coming back to do a Miracle Man book. Is that coming out next month or November?
Yes, next month, October.
Okay. Okay.
a Jed McKay book again, but I've fallen off it a little bit. I've got to be honest. It's in my pile to read. I haven't got around to it. I need to get around to it. I like the middle cover.
Strange Academy. There's the one to the far right, which is a Momoko, and the one in the middle is that trading card.
I like the trading card.
And 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 of those covers. That Momoko is a 1 in 50, and the rest are open order.
So what's the idea of having all these variant covers for books that probably aren't really selling that well? Is that why you do the extra covers?
So what they do is they offer some retailers a chance to do a retail exclusive. If they do the retail exclusive, not only did they get their own cover books, but they get access to order as many of these little retail exclusives as they want, which is what they usually do. They usually sell these incentives in order to make up for whatever books they couldn't sell from their own retail exclusive.
Mm.
It's a math game. it really is. Man.
Yeah, I just don't see I see maybe the demand of having like a variant cover because it's rarer, but like
Right. That's
I
supposed to be.
I suppose. Sorry to interject there. I suppose if you've got like a fan of a particular artist, so if you're a Mark Brooks collector, for example,
I guess,
and you really like Mark Brooks, you've got a 1 in 100. That's gonna, even if it's on a lame old book, you're gonna go out and get it because you love Mark Brooks, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's another good point. That's like point number 3 for me. But there are some people that if they love an artist, they have to have every single cover for that artist.
Well, I'm not quite that bad, but I love Tom Sale. Tim Sale. I love Tim Sale.
Yeah.
So when he started a couple of years ago doing Batman covers, my standing order at my comic book shop was I get Batman Detective. If you use a choice between covers, I will always take the Tim Sale one. Always.
Yeah.
And that was on my order. So
yeah. And there's people who also like, if it's one particular character, they got to get every single cover that has that character on there. Same for like, hey, I've got to have every cover from a particular run, and they just got to have it. So the variants, number 4, I forgot that this was even the thing, but I do like this cover. It's got a kind of a retro feel to it.
Yeah, that's a good book. I like the variant book.
Venom number 12, Return of Codex.
wait, hasn't Superman got the Codex? Isn't that why General Zod came back from to get? Maybe I'm mixing them up.
I think Marvel's mixing it up. Star Wars Insider. People are loving that one on the left. That hip hop variant type deal.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Give me the original. Give me the original. Give me that one.
All right, these are the books that are absolutely coming out this week. Now this one is not a comic book, right? This is the Empire magazine. But if you look over to the right, you got the dude, Submariner, on the freaking cover. That would kind of be like the first appearance of him in any type of magazine or book type setting, as that Submariner type dude. So if Wakanda Forever does well, and if people are starting to love,
not terrible.
Yeah, if people are loving that Submariner as this, right? Because before he was Asia Pacific and all the other stuff, but here he's got more of a island, South American type feel. If people love that, this would be the book to have because that's a totally different Submariner from the one we're used to.
So here's the thing. Let me ask you a quick question then. I'm going to get all political about this.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the panties in a bunch when characters get whitewashed.
Sure.
Why is there not anybody kicking off when things go the other way? Because you've got Submariner is an ethnic character already. Why do you need to redress that? And I'm having the same conversation with Black Adam over on TDC. Black Adam has always been that Egyptian-looking type of character. Now they're redressing him to make him look like The Rock. It's like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. You already have these diverse characters in your portfolio. Why are you changing them? If you want a diverse book, you've got it already.
True.
I don't.
True.
I just need someone to
Yeah,
explain
it's
to me.
so let's pare it down, right? Because what you were talking about when it comes to whitewashing is you had a character that was specifically Asian, such as Ghost in the Shell, right?
Yeah,
And then what you
or
do is you
Eddie
put an
Rand from the
actress,
Iron Fist.
right, and then you put an actress who is white into that, and then you wonder why it flopped, right? But this one is weird because this is a specifically an Asian Pacific, or if you want to go this route, a Greek Roman type character because of the hereditous history, and you're changing the whole history around, and giving it this Mexican, South American, Aztecian, Mayan feel. Totally different. And the answer to your question is I have no fucking clue why they're doing this.
For the
Not a
record,
clue, right?
I love Mexico and Mayans. I've just come back from there. I've just come back, so I love the whole the Mayan culture and stuff. So
Right.
I don't have
But
in fact I don't have a problem with anybody from any walk of life at all. I'm the most laid back person I know. It annoys me when one side of the argument is always vocal and yet nobody thinks it through to the other side of the
well,
argument. Just
here's the
frustrates
deal
me.
though. There was I think it maybe second or third Man Thing series, where they're trying to tie in and make people understand that Man Thing is part of the guardian of the nexus of the realities, right? And in the third volume of that, there's a joint where Man Thing is hanging out, Silver Surfer is hanging out, and Submariner are doing their thing. And then they bring in, I forget the Gaia and everything, and they're doing this whole hodgepodge thing. And as part of that, they were connecting the different waters, the different oceans into its own thing. And
Mhm.
so I get it from that, but we're not even there yet. We're just getting dropped into the whole. We're getting this dropped to the African movie, and you're shying us away from the whole Asian market, which I don't get. I don't get that because I thought that's where they were pushing us with Shang-Chi, right?
Mhm.
I thought we were okay here. Now we're going to start this whole Shang-Chi thing. We got Wongers. We're going to push you towards the Asian tilt. We're going to show you, and then eventually we should have gotten Agents of Atlas, right? But instead, we're getting dropped inside of a movie about African superheroes. We're getting dropped this South American thing.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it was just a point
Weird,
I wanted to
weird,
make.
weird. Especially when you consider the direction that Marvel's supposed to be going,
Mm.
as they're supposed to be going Indo-Pacific, like Indian, right? India is becoming part of their biggest market for Disney Plus. But instead of catering more to those guys, which would have been understandable, we're getting South American. I don't. We were supposed to be getting Indian Superman, Indian Spider-Man.
Hmm.
So I don't understand what we're going through here. So
Maybe there's an act coming in at Coco Bongo soon. Who knows? Next.
all right. Also coming up this week, Amazing Spider-Man Beyond Amazing. Uh, this is the second print of Edge of Spider-Verse #2, already sold out at the distributor level. So if you see this one, might want to freaking pick it up.
You might want to pick all these up because Dan Slott's just recently been interviewed saying he's going to do away with the Spider-Verse. So
Oh, good. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, so you got the Wasp, right? The Wasp are this entity that's sort of like the vampires, where they're going to go ahead and try and kill all these spiders. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, if he's going to do away with the Spider-Verse, then what's the use of having this book introduce an all-new Spider-Man?
well, they're the ones that are going to get chucked under the wagon, under the
Yeah.
bus, because you're guaranteed nothing's going to happen to Gwen Stacy.
Yeah,
Nothing's
they're all going to be up in arms because they're going to kill off the first handicapped Spider-Man that they came out with, and they're going to kill her off.
Nothing's going to happen to Spider Gwen, and nothing's going to happen to Miles. So there you go.
Yeah. Fortnite X Marvel Zero War. Once again, another friend of Comic Crusaders, Maria Wolf, did the one on the left. Then there's the Ryan Brown on the one to the right.
Hmm.
New characters inside Marvel Voices Community #1, which is supposed to be more of a Latin tint. I forget the name of the character. That's the one in the middle. But people have also been picking up the one to the right. Because I don't know who that character is, but she's got more. Her costume looks more like a Doctor Doom, Doc Strange type feel. But both of those, the one to in the middle and the one to the right, are already sold out at the distributor level.
Really?
So yeah, so if you see it, if you see it at your local store, grab it. Don't think they can just order more. No, go ahead and freaking grab it.
How are those voices books selling? Are they selling pretty good?
When they have a new character, they're doing absolutely excellent. But they're not doing as well as those Black History Month joints, right? Because they had a whole bunch of joints by Torrent Clark, which were amazing. Those got snapped up, and people were absolutely violent when
Hmm.
Marvel didn't get those out on time because they were allocating them and then releasing some the first week and then some the second week. Man, people were crazy about those Black History Month. But those Marvel voices, those are ones that have had a lot of first appearances that people just need to pay attention to those, especially if we're going to do a Submariner in South America. Well, shit. Well, might as well if we can go through these books and see what's in them, right?
Yeah.
The Miles Morales Spider-Man #42 for Voices Comunidades, right? And then lastly, the one I wanted to bring up is Thor. This Predator variant. Love this one as he's fighting a Predator and winning, but he doesn't realize that there's a whole bunch of Predators right behind him.
Hmm.
And
I like that
that's
cover.
and that, gentlemen, is the 2-minute warning done in 20 minutes.
The 2 with the 0 at the end.
just like a proper football game.
Well, we thank you for sticking around to see what was coming up. So next episode, we're going to be right into October, and until then, stay safe. And I'm sure we'll be talking about some spooky Halloween stuff.
Ooh.
All right. Until then, where's my
Adios.
Bye.